Michelle Garcia, welcome to the Other 51. Thanks for joining me today.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So, first of all, real talk here. You're going to see Hamilton soon, aren't you?
Okay, so here's the thing. My mom, I'm turning 32 in a couple weeks. My mom, in like September, was like, "Do you want to see Hamilton for your birthday? I can totally take you." Now, this was September. It's now November. I don't think she remembers this.
Oh no.
I'm gonna be at Thanksgiving next week. I'm gonna be like, "Hey Ma, remember the old Hamilton thing that you said?" And she's gonna be like, "Oops," and I'll be like, "Don't worry, we can go for my 33rd birthday."
Because that's not the thing you're like, oh, I forgot. Oh, let me just pop down and then get some tickets for it. So, how did?
Not the Trolls movie.
No, which is excellent, by the way.
The funny thing is, I've heard that, like, in the writers in our culture room, I overheard them talking about, like, actually, I heard this is not a bad movie.
No, we went. We took my daughter. She's 6, and we took her. She wanted to see it desperately, so we took her last weekend. And it's funny because there have been so many kids' movies out lately that have felt. I don't know, the only word we can come up with is inappropriate. Like Zootopia. Like, she hated Zootopia and was scared. And that was like the classic, this movie's made for grown-ups, but it's cartoons, so it's like for kids. This is like perfectly age appropriate. She's already seen it twice. She listens to the soundtrack every morning, and it was really adorable. It was really sweet and really cute, and I gotta tell you, there's something weirdly uplifting given we're recording this about 10 days after the presidential election. There's something weirdly uplifting about hearing one of the songs is Anna Kendrick's character singing, "If you knock me over, I will get back up again." And there's something awesome about hearing your 6-year-old upstairs singing that every morning, given the state of things.
My goodness.
So Hamilton. So how did you come about Hamilton? Like, how did you first experience it, and how did you come to become a fan of it?
Man, I haven't. Actually, the funny thing is, I just kind of know that I'm going to enjoy it.
Okay.
When I started working, so last year, yeah, wow, wait, 2015, yeah, last year, I got a job. I had been working in LA for 9 years, right? I lived in LA, worked in LA for 9 years. I came back to New York for a job, and my one of the other editors, my right hand lady, she's like a huge theater nerd, all that stuff. And it was like March 2015, and okay. Hamilton, I think, had just played or had been playing at the Public Theater.
Right.
It was like that week that I came to New York. She was like, "Dude, you need to see this right now." And I was like, "I don't have any money. Like, what are you talking about? I can't do anything. I don't have
right.
I just got back here. I don't have time for this." And I'm so kicking myself now.
So not only see it with the cast, but the cast at the Public before it even gets to Broadway. Right.
The funny thing is, months later, she was like, "Do you want to do a Hamilton dance class with me?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do." She's like a workout buddy, kind of.
Okay.
We do weird workout stuff together. So we went, and I had no context at all for anything that we were doing. But I was like, "I like this music, though. I know I'm gonna like this play. So this musical."
so you've not been you're not a Hamilton nerd like I am.
See, I don't want to Obviously, I know how the thing goes in general,
right.
but I want to experience it, because you know what I mean. I'm trying not to spoil it for myself too much. I have a feeling even if I did, I would still enjoy it, but I'm still kind of
sure
trying to experience it for the first time as much as possible when I do finally freaking see the thing.
Right. That makes sense. For what it's worth, a friend of mine who's been a guest on the show, actually, she went and saw it last week or 2 weeks ago, and had total Hamilton nerd like me, had huge expectations about it, and said it exceeded her expectations. Even as hyped up as she had it in her head, it was even better seeing it live than she had seen it. And that's the one thing I have heard about this from anybody who's seen it, is it is even better than you expect it to be. As good as you expect it to be. It absolutely lives up to it. People I talked to who went when it was the original cast and were paying I don't want to know how much money they were paying for tickets. And they said it was absolutely, it's worth the huge amount of money you paid for it. So, there's that. I just wanted to ask you a little bit if you could trace your career path for us. You're at Vox now as an editor at Vox, but how did you get to where you are now in your career?
Oh boy. So, I mean, I will go back to college for this because, like, no, I'll even go back even way further, like before I was born. So my mom, the aforementioned mom, my mom is an author. She's a published author. She writes young adult fiction, children, like middle grade fiction. Okay. My dad is in the military, but really, the dude probably should have been a lawyer. He, he's when I was in elementary school, or like right around when I went to kindergarten, my dad went back to college to go finish his bachelor's degree, and then he went and got his master's in public policy. Wow. So when I was a kid, my dad was studying, the Constitution as I was learning fractions. And one of the ways that he would study is like by teaching me the Constitution, or like teaching me about like Latin American colonialism, stuff like that. Real light stuff. So I've always been, my parents, especially like my dad is Caribbean. His parents, or his father and his father, and then my grandmother, they are a family of Caribbean immigrants. My mom's side were Black, and both my parents are very socially engaged. So growing up, we've always just had that, like, we're always talking about race. We're always talking about gender. We're always talking about the world and like how it affects us, even as 10-year-old weird kids. I used to write like petitions and stuff in second grade. We're like, why can't we have more recess? Like shut up. But I was also like just really interested in writing, and my mom was like, don't be an author. And I think it was just kind of like all those things converged, and by the time I got to my freshman year at Oswego, I was like, I am going to study journalism. Like it just all kind of came together right at the right time. And so I dove into that and became the annoying news girl that that was just like, every chance I got to do anything for the Oswegonian, which was our school paper, I was like on it. I was editor-in-chief for 2 years. I was terrible.
What makes you say that?
I was a tyrant. Oh. And and I just slashed people's stuff. And like, I still like tried to have fun in the newsroom, but I was still like just crazy, drunk with power. And yeah, so, but in a way it was good. Because like then, I was just like very prepared to then go into the world and be a journalist. So, I got a job at the Advocate magazine. My husband, but back then we were just dating. We decided in college, like, all right, we are getting the hell out of here. We're going to Los Angeles. So we moved to LA. He got a job in the entertainment industry. I miraculously stumbled upon an entry-level job at a national magazine. Right as the journalism industry started to collapse in 2006. That was great. And then, so then I just worked my way up from there. And, I'd say I spent about a third of that time just kind of floundering. But once I got my footing, I really embraced kind of like the identities reporting that I do now. So I worked at the Advocate. I worked there for almost 9 years. Ended as the managing editor, and then got a job as the identities editor at Mike.com. I was there for a little under a year, and then exactly a year ago tomorrow, November 18th, I started at Vox as the senior identities editor. So
awesome! Happy 1 year.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, and yes, Michelle is an Oswego graduate, and that's where I teach. That's where we met. And can I tell you a dirty little secret?
Yes.
I've yet to go to the Oswego sub shop.
I back when I was there, it was gross. So I can understand, but I went recently. The last time I was in Oswego, I went, and I was like, "Yo, this sub shop is nice now." I highly recommend.
All right, I have. The problem is I don't because I commute a while, so I don't really. I don't live in Oswego. I don't eat a lot of meals in Oswego, so I don't have a lot of time to buzz down. The Oswego sub shop for every one of you who's not an Oswego person is it's a sub shop in town, obviously, but it's very much the college. It's the college place to eat, and we'll say that with all affection toward it. And so, 2 o'clock in the afternoon before you teach an hour and 40-minute class is probably not the best time to go to. That's not what you're looking for at that time of day.
Right.
I'm guessing.
But 2 o'clock at night.
That's
they're open.
That's where the money is. That's where the money is there. So how much do you think? I mean, talking about your background and the way your mom was an author, your dad was kind of studying a lot of these concepts, and now you kind of moved into that identities reporting. How much do you think your upbringing and your home and that experience kind of shaped you into following that beat?
Oh, so much. I often think about, my, this is kind of, this will read like a ding on my stepmom, and I don't mean to, but it kind of, when my parents got divorced when I was about 12, and, I grew up in Queens, New York, and we then moved out to the suburbs, and, so that means driving all the time, and, we would get in the car, and my stepmom be in the front seat with my dad, and then me and my sister would be in the back, and my dad would say, what do you think is going on with foreign policy? Or, he'll just ask me a question, and then we'll debate and talk and blah, blah, blah. And my stepmom would just get so annoyed because she was like, why can't we just have a normal conversation about a movie or something? Like, why are you shouting? Stop it. I just think my parents definitely shaped how I think and how in a sense kind of comfortable I am talking openly about racial difference and sexuality and gender identity and stuff like that, which I think especially in the last couple of years I've really noticed how uncomfortable a lot of people are talking about race, even though it is we all have a race.
Right.
We are all part of a race sub of the human race, I guess. But I think there's nothing wrong with that, and I think it's okay to talk about. We should talk about these things.
Right, especially given the events of the past 10 days and since the election of that. But you said something interesting about kind of embracing the idea of identities reporting. And did you resist that for a while when you were before you started to? I mean, was it something that idea of embracing this is interesting to me. So how did that happen? I mean, were you didn't want to do it but found yourself drawn to it? Was that just where a job was? How did that that process work?
Yeah, well, so, like I said, I was lucky to step into this job in LA at the Advocate magazine. And, the funny thing is at that point, I was still kind of weird about my own queerness. Okay. I think I said something in my interview that was well, I'm straight, but being black is just like being gay, I don't know, I said something stupid, and thank goodness, the editor-in-chief then, Ann Stockwell, she was just all right, fine, you're capable enough. But, especially in journalism school, they really, and especially back when I was going, I graduated in 2006. When I was in journalism school, there was no emphasis on writing about race and writing from a personal standpoint or anything like that. You were not to talk about a person's race or gender or anything like that in a story unless it was endemic to the it's super important to telling that story. Which is I do think that is important for the most part, but I also think that we then lose that part of talking about race actually factors into this in a very specific way, but we're not talking about it. We're talking around it, and
Right.
that just perpetuates people's discomfort with race. So yeah, like when I first started journalism, I was kind of like, especially at The Advocate, I was like, all right, I'm just going to write about queerness. Like, I'm not going to be writing from a queer perspective because, like, I have to be impartial. And I think after a while, I don't know, it was just something that kind of clicked in me where I realized that I had to, like, that it was okay for me to bring myself to the table and to stop, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and I don't think that necessarily means like just writing personal essays all day, because I don't think that that's always, warranted. I actually, I do end up writing a lot of personal essays, but I think because I don't write that much anymore as an editor, that's like, okay, I get to do this. But I think, journalists especially should not be afraid to be able to say in their newsroom, like, hey, we need to be writing more about X community, like, or this community is not getting the attention that we need to give them, and like we're doing a disservice by doing that, and I think like that is a responsibility that any journalist can have, and should have that, like that inclination of saying like, hey, here's a story that we're not covering that we should, for our readers.
Right.
So.
It's why, one of those things when we talk about diversity in journalism, like it's very easy to kind of, make it very surface level-y and very much, almost tokenism. Like I remember when I worked at Gannett, when I worked in Binghamton in 2004, 2005, there was a big push for, you would push for diversity. And it really did feel like we were not, I can say this now, we were not doing it in the right way. I don't think we were doing it in a good, systematic, empathetic, let's tell what's going on in the black communities in Binghamton, in the Muslim communities in Binghamton, or whatever the non-white people version of community. And it was very much, let's talk to a black person or let's talk to a Muslim person in a story. Mainstreaming, I think, was the buzzword. And just look back on that now with just such, good. And I think the intentions were always good, but it just, I don't think that, it's, and I think it is. I do feel like we are getting, as an industry, as a journalism industry, getting better at looking at other communities and getting other voices getting other voices into our publications, which I think what the goal should be, so that and so that when an election news like this happens, it's not the big crazy scramble to, well, what happened? How can we explain this? And more a understanding it. I'm all over the place here. I don't know if I'm making any sense on it.
I'm getting it. I'm getting it.
I did want to. I know we can talk about the differences in writing and editing in what you do, but I did want to talk about a piece that you wrote recently. It ran, I think, just before the election. It was a piece where you wrote about your experience growing up. Now, Trump's company owned you lived in an apartment that was owned by Trump and his company. Am I remembering correctly?
Yes, I did.
All right. Yeah, so I mean, that came out right before the election. So, just how did you decide to write that? What was that experience writing that piece like for you?
Well, the funny thing is, so I had been like, since Donald Trump announced, I had been like just thinking about like, it's so funny. I'm a black person. I'm black and Latina, and I grew up 3 blocks away from the Trump family home, like where Donald Trump lived. We lived in the same neighborhood. The Cuomos also lived in the same neighborhood. I went to the same elementary school as the Cuomos. Like, this neighborhood to me, I always had this like this fondness for that neighborhood because it was like this beautiful sort of storybook kind of place for New York City, to be clear.
Right.
But it was also incredibly diverse. Like, I went to a Catholic school, which, was not necessarily religiously diverse. And then when I went to public school, it was just kind of like, wow, like truly the world feels so represented in this really lovely community. Anyway, so when Trump announced, my father said to me, like, gosh, this guy, I can't believe this. Like, he was sued, he was sued for not letting Black people live in their apartments, and now he's running for president. And I was just
Mhm.
like, and I'd always known that the Trumps, owned our building, but I never realized that was the first connection that my father had toward Donald Trump, was like that thought of like, you know, this dude is a discriminatory landlord.
Right.
So I kept saying, like, to my coworkers, when first at Mike and then at Vox, like, yeah, gosh, I grew up like right by this guy, like,
Right.
and then in September, the New York Times wrote this piece. I forget the name of the reporter, unfortunately, but he wrote this great piece about the evolution of Jamaica Estates and how Donald Trump, first his father, Fred Trump, was a developer in the estates. And then when Donald joined the company, I believe as either president or CEO or something, like, it was exposed in 1973 that they had been discriminating against potential Black and Puerto Rican renters. So, that piece came out, and the politics editor here at Fox was like, man, we should do something on this. And I said, like, I grew up in a Trump-owned building, and they were like, wait, what? And I was kind of like, you know what? I think it's time to finally write this story, because before it was just kind of like, oh, here's a funny piece of trivia, but then it like with that information, it kind of turned into like, this is crazy, especially because Donald Trump kept saying like Black people live in hell and like all this
Right.
like, our city is terrible and that's where they all live, and it was just like, no, some of us live right down the street from where you once lived, and he knows that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I ended up writing this piece, and it took me forever to write because I'm also an editor, and like whenever you do have time to write, it's like, oh my gosh, like 20 minutes, yeah.
I was going to ask, how much has being now a more of a full-time editor, has it changed the way you write?
Totally, yeah. It's kind of like, it's interesting because I at the Advocate I wrote a lot, up until probably I was a managing editor, and then I think now in my last two jobs I've been editing basically full time, and like whenever I do get to write, it's kind of like a mad dash, or in a way I get to choose. I get to be much more selective about like where I get to spend my time. So if it's something I'm really passionate about, then I get to write it. But otherwise, I'm just like, let me just assign this, or like something like that. But yeah, it's kind of fun in a way. Like when I do get to report, and it actually gives me a lot of I don't know. I whenever I'm done reporting anything, I'm kind of like, oh, like my writers are magic. It's so great.
I kind of feel that way too after a semester of teaching a journalism class, like the ones you spoke in last year. All of a sudden I start getting the bug again to start, doing some writing or reporting. Like, yeah, it kind of gets you excited about that. So, just out of curiosity, and I asked Dan Barry at the New York Times a similar question about a piece he wrote. And I'm just curious, the thing you wrote about growing up in Trump's building, it came out before the election. Do you look back on that after the election, seeing Trump winning? And do you look back on that piece any differently now?
No, I honestly, the whole time, because like I said, we came up with that idea in September, and I have been like I have been working on it for so long, and if anything, I wish that I had pushed myself earlier to do it sooner. Not that like, and I don't think it would have had any effect on the election because like, nothing
Right.
did. Facts didn't matter. La, la, la. So it's just kind of like, I if anything, I wish that I wrote it sooner.
Okay.
Like that it would have, if I think it would have had a little more weight to people. You know what I mean? Like I think people would have paid more attention to it. Otherwise, it came out the Sunday before, and it was just like, oh my goodness, like there was so much stuff that it just got drowned out, I think. But I still enjoyed writing it a lot.
So as an editor, what are the biggest sins writers do that just drive you batshit insane?
Ooh, they like it's so funny because like we have an editor's room, or we talk on Slack here at Vox, and like because we're all scattered everywhere, DC, New York, and a few of us in San Francisco. And today, like we were talking about like vagueness, and when writers are like, people are saying this, and then
Yes.
you're like, who is saying that?
Right.
How many people? Give us some examples. What are they actually saying? Stuff like that, or like assuming that the reader knows things, or like I've noticed this thing that is definitely a holdover from blogging, where readers will just like, or rather, writers will throw links in, and they'll use vague language but have a link in it, and I'm like, just add a sentence, like, like this is not cute. Like, okay, nobody's gonna click on your snarky example of whatever the two words that you just said, like, everybody's talking about this, and then it's like a link to this, and it's like something stupid, and it's like, that is a waste of time. Let's just be clear. Yeah, I don't know. I have a lot of like weird pet peeves.
Oh, like what? My wife's an editor, so you guys can compare. I can compare your notes to her notes. It'd be awesome. So,
let's see. For me, I have like a little style things, but like my writers, fortunately, are like, they're just good with it. I have like this thing with the word be, like be, being is. Basically, anytime oh God. Okay, sorry, listeners. This is going to get boring for a minute. Anytime I see a version, a conjugation of the word be in a story, I basically either change it or remove it, because you could always be using a better verb. Like I just used the word be, and it was like, that was a clunky sentence.
The active voice, active versus passive. Yes.
I've noticed this years ago, that if I just remove the word be and use a stronger verb, it makes the sentence better.
Huh.
And I realized it's like, journalism is all about verbs. Like, every sentence, the verb is so important. So, like, that to me is like, it's like such a dumb thing, but like once I started doing it, it was just like eye-opening. I was like, oh my goodness.
Oh, I love that. Journalism is all about verbs. That's fantastic. One of my wife's pet peeves, and it's probably with mine because I'm a horrible first draft writer, is the amount of times I use that. And she has said, for a lot of people, you go through, if you need to shorten a piece, go through and take out almost every instance of the word that.
Totally.
And it will become shorter, and you won't miss them. So what's the best thing you've read lately?
Ooh, what is the best thing I've read lately? Like an article or a book or a...
Anything.
What is the best thing I've read lately? I think, let's see. Oh, you know what I just read? Oh, sorry, 1 minute. Sorry, I have this conference room is being hijacked. I just read Junot Diaz, This Is How You Luther. The book.
Nice, yeah.
It is fantastic. I know the book is like a couple years old, but I really loved it.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was so good. It just kind of had like a profound, like, I don't know, like, effect on me for some reason. So I've been loving that. But I don't know, I've been reading a lot of really just solid journalism lately.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's been really good. People are just making good things right now, which is really nice. Which
is funny, because you often hear like this is such a doom and gloom time for journalism, and the media is to blame for everything that happened. And that's such little soapbox, but media is such a big word and such an all-encompassing term that, like, I always want to say, people, and this is a little bit of a soapboxy here thing, but like, the media is to blame for Donald Trump, and I want to say, I don't think there was a stone unturned with that guy. Like, between the Washington Post and New York Times, just all the outlet, ProPublica did great work. I think there's we knew about this guy. This was not like all of a sudden we're realizing what he is. I think, we knew, the Washington Post work alone, David, what's his last name? The guy who did the,
with the donations.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
I'm forgetting his name too, but that was incredible. Like, every day it was just like, oh my goodness, this guy.
and such a validation of like old school reporting methods. It was great. We've been reading a lot of Harry Potter in my house with my daughter, so we're on Goblet of Fire right now, and it's getting real. I mean, we're at the point in the book where it's getting really real. So.
I confession, like, I never read Harry Potter, because...
That's worse than me not going to the sub shop, by the way. This is...
It was like, those books started coming out when I was like 15, and I was like, oh, it's lame, it's for babies.
Oh,
and
you
then
were
I just never got into it, but my sisters...
You're just old enough to miss it, just on the wrong side of it when they first came out. So what are some of your mom's books that she's written that you can recommend?
Oh, well, my mom, she just, let's see, she just published a book that won the the Coretta Scott King Award. You may know that from the library from when you were a child. She just won, I think it was her third,
Oh
which is
wow!
like freaking amazing.
Yeah,
My mom is like the coolest. Like she just texted me that she's going boxing. That's what she does now. Uh,
because of
uh,
course.
she's great. Anyway, so her latest, her name is Rita Williams Garcia.
Mm-hmm.
She has a trilogy. So the latest three books are a trilogy, and they're about three sisters who, like, the first one starts out about three sisters who they find out that their estranged mother is a Black Panther poet, basically, and lives in Oakland. This is like 1968, and there's like three Black girls living in Brooklyn.
Awesome.
And they find out that their mom is like some like trippy cool activist poet lady. So they go spend a summer with her right at the height of the beginning of like the Black Panthers in Oakland, which is
wow.
and it's like it's so funny because it's just like it is a really sweet story in a way, and like a great story about mothers and daughters and sisterhood and stuff like that, but it's also kind of like Black Panthers.
Well, awesome. I will throw a link to that trilogy into show notes for this episode.
Cool.
So awesome. Michelle Garcia, this was so much fun. Thanks for joining me today.
This was fun. Thank you for having me.